والهيد اوف سيشن اللي راح يعرف بدكتور ابراهيم مستر بيير سلامه. حطيت لك مستر بيير.
صباح الخير. Dr. Ibraheem Tarawneh is the Chief Officer at PI Square with expertise in the design and implementation of strategic plans and consulting in the areas of risk management, safety, loss prevention and control, healthcare management, and analysis of catastrophe accident in the industrial construction, transportation and power generation and distribution sectors. Between 2009 and 2019, Dr. Tarawneh served as the Chief Risk Management and Control Officer for the state of Ohio Workmen's Compensation State Insurance Fund, which is considered the largest state insurance fund in the United States of America. During this period, Dr. Tarawneh designed and implemented a wide variety of strategic risk management programs for the state insurance fund. These programs resulted in reducing the frequency and severity of work-related injuries in Ohio by 31%, and the total amount of the state insurance funds indemnity and medical payments and by approximately 40%. The success of these programs led many workers' compensation state insurance funds in other states to implement many of these programs. Dr. Tarawneh published over 20 articles in scientific journals. Dr. Tarawneh holds PhD and MS degrees in industrial and management systems, engineering and MS degree in traffic engineering from the United States of America and BS degree in civil engineering from the University of Jordan. Please, the floor is yours.
صباح الخير. Good morning. قبل لا أبلش أنا حاب أشكر اللجنة التحضيرية للمؤتمر والاتحاد العام، الاتحاد الأردني لشركات التأمين على هاي الدعوة. إنه نحكي في موضوع مهم، هو مهم لكل القطاعات بما فيها قطاع التأمين. وبرضه بشكرهم على فرصة اللقاء. اليوم راح أحكي عن الديجيتال ترانسفورميشن which is an evolving area, and it has been evolving for the past 20 years. First, I will talk about what digital transformation is and what does it mean for the insurance industry in general. And then I will talk a little about, in fact not a little, about my experience as a consumer and user of digital transformation during the time I spent at the Ohio State Insurance Fund in the United States. And then we will talk a little about what kind of strategies that you should focus on in order to, if you're thinking about doing some digital transformation projects in your companies. So I will tell you, this area has a lot of hype in it. And a lot of people are talking about digital transformation. And it's not only in the insurance industry, but also in every other industry. Everybody is talking about digital transformation. Which brings me to think about an important concept that I usually talk about to CEOs when we are doing strategic planning. There is always noise and there is always some signal. And you always need to focus on the signal. And the signal, what we mean by the signal, is a change that will bring value either to your company or to your customer. And usually, when companies are doing work the right way, usually the value for your customer is an added value for the company. So these two do not compete, they go in fact hand in hand. So, forget all the hype, forget all the talk about telematics, machine learning, all this stuff, and always focus on the signal and on the simple things that you're trying to accomplish. There's a quote by Newton, one of the best scientists in history, where he says, nature is pleased with simplicity. So the name of the game, even in a complex, when you're dealing with complex IT projects, is to remember this, simplicity. So digital transformation, the general definition is that it is a process about utilizing digital technologies to either create new or modify existing business processes, domains, and culture, and customer experiences to meet changing business and market requirements. So essentially, we don't do digital transformation for the sake of doing digital transformation. It has to be driven by market needs and market requirements and customer needs. And in a way, it will give you an opportunity to reimagine how you do business in the future. So, it's a radical thinking of how an organization will use technology and people and processes together in order to provide better product for their customers. And the result is a fundamental change in how business functions and interacts with customers. When we think about the different types of digital transformation, we think of some really amazing companies that were pioneers in this area. For example, 20 years ago, when you order pizza in the United States, you pick up the phone, you talk to someone on the other side, and ask them what kind of offers they have, and you ask them about the prices, and you spend about 5 minutes on the phone with them to decide on what type of pizza you want and how much you're going to pay for it, and then you order it, and then you wait for about an hour to get it at home. Little Caesars was the pioneer. It is a pizza chain in the United States. 20 years ago, they decided that you can order online. So you go to their website and you start picking the different toppings for your pizza, and you order it, and boom, half hour later, they're knocking at your door to deliver it. No one else in the restaurant business was doing this. Now, you can order almost from any restaurant. So the process has changed and was transformed, and it is because of advances in technology. Then you think about Netflix. How many of you were familiar with how the business model for Netflix when it started many years ago, back in 2004 or 2005? Netflix started by competing with another business that used to be called Blockbuster Video. Blockbuster had stores all over the United States. If you want to watch a movie, you go and rent it from Blockbuster, and they will charge you an arm and leg for it. And if you're late, they will charge you an extra charge. And you usually get it for only 12 hours. Netflix came about and said, you subscribe with us for $10 a month, and we will send you videos by mail. You order them, they will get to you the next day. You view them, you watch them, and then put them in an envelope and send them back to us. took 3 years to put Blockbuster out of business. Now, remember this, at the time there was no streaming. The business model for Blockbuster for Netflix was not about streaming. So, the same thing about Amazon Web Services. Does anybody remember what Amazon started with? Huh? Selling books. Jeff Bezos said, when he started Amazon, he said, I like books, I like to read books. Why can't people buy books online? And he was only selling one product when he started his business. Now, we have Amazon Web Services, which provides technology, computing services to every industry that's out there. 17% of Amazon's revenues are coming from Amazon Web Services, not from their retail side of the business. So what did these companies do? They redefined their organization and their processes as technology advanced. So they were capitalizing on advances in technology at every turn to get to where they're at today. And how did they do it? I will tell you. They were focused on flexible workflows where things need to move quickly and efficiently, decentralized decision making. The more you provide, technology provides people with decentralized decision making in the whole organization, where people start to think more critically of doing the business, because automation is taking care of all the things that a robot can do. And then there is the most important thing is a bias toward testing and learning, where these companies continue to test things and try them out. And whatever works, they go with it. And this is what Amazon has been doing. So when we think about the insurance industry, there are so many opportunities in the industry for digital transformation. And many insurance companies, in fact, they have been implementing some of these. Progressive Insurance has been working with telematics and apps for changing the behavior of drivers on the road for many years, for over 10, 12 years. In fact, they're the ones who started with this business model. So it can affect the products, because the products are changing. Google, Uber, in fact, Volvo, Tesla are putting vehicles that are driverless, autonomous. This vehicle in the United States, believe it or not, it's safer than any other driver that's out there. The only problem is, with these cars that are autonomous, is that the frequency for an accident, they will bring it down so much, but when an accident happens, it's going to be deadly. So how are you going to price an insurance policy for something like this in the future, where it's coming? The distribution between agents, the customer, and the insurer, how the policy is being issued, so many advances that you don't need to have any type of interaction between people anymore. It's almost totally automated for certain lines of business and certain types of customers. The marketing, 50% of the people who are under 35 years old in the US, they do not watch TV. So you cannot work with them with TV commercials to tell them about your products. And this number is expanding. So you have to reach them through other channels.
how you provide services to your customers, how these services can be more efficient, the pricing. Now we are collecting data about everything. We know people, sometimes I sometimes think that Facebook knows me better than I know myself. I think Facebook can predict where I will be at 5 p.m. in the afternoon today, better than I can predict that. The claims and all the issues that come with claims. Of course, everybody tells you that the insurance industry is behind with digital transformation, and I think they're right. Yes, it is. Because there are risks involved, and we cover risks. This is what insurance is about, so we avoid it as much as we can. The only problem is that if we don't do something as we go forward, there will be interceptors, if you might say. There will be people who will come with a new business model for insurance and get into the market. And at the top of the list are Amazon and Google. And I think Amazon or Google, in the next 5 years, they will start their own insurance business because they know everything about us. So, in the insurance industry, there was a survey that was done by, recently by Deloitte, and they surveyed a lot of companies around the globe, and they asked them about where they're going to spend more money in the next 3 to 5 years in terms of digital transformation and digital transformation projects. And what they said, almost 74% of them, they are going to spend more money on what's called artificial intelligence, 72% on cloud computing, where they're moving their systems to the cloud, and 70% they're going to spend more money on data privacy, and then on data acquisition and processing. Now, you see at the end of the chain, mobile technology and blockchain. Blockchain compared to the others is about 58% of them said that they're going to invest in blockchain. But bear in mind that some of these companies already in the past 5 years have spent a lot of investments into some of these things, whether it's mobile technology or blockchain or robotic process automation. You hardly find now somebody who offers workers' compensation insurance in the United States where they do not have something where you can get in and you will get your price right away within 5 minutes. And you give them the information and they will tell you this is how much your policy will cost. So, no matter what you're doing with digital transformation, it's all about big data. At the core of every digital transformation project, it is collection, data acquisition, data analysis, and then decision making that is based on what the data is telling you. So, I will use my own experience to give you some examples about what we did in the State Insurance Fund at the State of Ohio. Back in 2009, I joined the State Insurance Fund as their Chief Risk Officer. And this is a huge fund, in fact. The State Insurance Fund in Ohio is the largest state insurance fund in the United States. It's worth $29 billion in assets, or at that time, now it's more than $35 billion, in fact. It has 245,000 policies that it covers annually. There are more than 10,000 new policies that come in every year that we provide coverage to them. And of course, some of them, they drop out and leave the system. And we handle 120,000 claims of injury. And there is a legacy in the system. We handle claims and we pay on claims that happened in 1945. The biggest problem in Ohio at the time is that it was one of the most expensive states to buy workers' compensation insurance coverage. In fact, it was too expensive to the extent that companies were not moving into Ohio. So Amazon, they want to open a new distribution center. They look at what this will cost them. And part of this is the insurance and the liabilities. And they look at the workers' compensation insurance in Ohio and they say, no, I'm not going to do that. This will cost me too much. I'm going to Indiana or somewhere else because it's cheaper. So Ohio as a state was becoming uncompetitive for business. So if you want to reduce cost for insurance, how do you do it? The first thing you think about, let's reduce benefits. Reducing benefits to injured workers was a big no, because it is a political disaster for politicians in Ohio. So they couldn't do it. So the next thing that we looked at, we said, well, let's reduce losses. Let's do risk management in a better way and reduce the frequency and severity of accidents. So at the time, they had so many programs that were offering a lot of different discounts to policies, to businesses that have policies with the system, and they were telling them, if you participate in this loss prevention and control program, we're going to give you 10% discount, or 15% discount, or 25% discount. And then in different programs, you can stack them together, these discounts, and some companies were getting 30 or 40% discount. But the cost, the overall cost of the system was going up. So these programs and these products for risk management and risk control really were not working. But there was no way to evaluate that. So the impact of our risk management and loss prevention and control programs was not known. There were no objective measurement and evaluation. There were competing priorities with our risk management operations. We didn't know who to focus on and where to go and do interventions and what kind of interventions we should be doing. So, when you look at a problem of that magnitude, you say, from a strategy standpoint, I need to align myself with the overall strategy for the state insurance fund. And the overall strategy for the state insurance fund is we need to bring down the cost of workers' compensation in the state. And our strategy said, okay, we're going to do that by preventing accidents and reducing their severity when they happen. So we looked at our programs and we said we're going to evaluate them. In order to evaluate them, we need data. Most of that data we don't have. And even if we get it, we don't have the experience and the talent to analyze it. And let's analyze it. When we analyze it, what is it really that we're going to do with it and how we're going to do it? So, everybody tells you that data is good for you. Everybody tells you that the more data, the better. And to some extent, it's true. But a lot of data is garbage. It has no use. So you need to keep that in mind. Because when you start playing with the numbers, John Tukey, one of the greatest statisticians in the world, he once said, if you torture the data enough, it will confess to anything. So people play with numbers. In fact, whenever people start throwing statistics at me, I start to have my doubts. Because not all statistics are true, even when they are true. So when you think about data, these are the things that we need to ask ourselves. What data elements do we need to accomplish what we want to accomplish? And are they available internally? And if they're not available internally, where is it that we can get them? And is it going to cost us a lot of money to get that data? And it doesn't matter what your objective is, even if it is marketing or anything else. And then how to analyze it. And in reality, almost with every digital transformation project, you're going to need a partner sometime during the life of the project. That can be a consultant, or it can be another insurance company, or it can be something or someone from a totally different area that has nothing to do with the insurance industry. And always, when you have a lot of data, always focus on what is it really that the data is telling you. So when we started looking at this puzzle that we were dealing with at the State Insurance Fund in Ohio, we started seeing a lot of different challenges. And with every challenge, there is an opportunity. We have an ocean of data. We have claims data that go all the way back to 1913, when the State Insurance Fund started. A lot of our data was misused. When you don't have a data strategy, when you don't know what to do with your data, what your data is capable of, and what it can tell you, people will start using it in whichever way they want. People create fancy spreadsheets, but most of it tells you or brings you to the wrong conclusions. Most of the available data that we had was for actuarial and pricing. We couldn't use it for risk management and control in reality, because we didn't have good data about the exposure that we have for losses. We needed how many employees work in every company and what is it that they do. So for example, if you're in a manufacturing facility, there are people who are corporate, there are people who stand in the assembly line, there are people who are machinists, there are janitors. I need to know how many of them does what. And we didn't have that. So we had to go and try to get it from other places and partner with other places. Because this is where it comes. For example, everybody tells you transportation accidents are killing us. You go and look at transportation accidents and you find a good chunk of them are happening with school bus drivers. And then you dig in deeper and you find out that most of the accidents are happening during winter months. And it's not in a vehicular accident, in a crash. It is because the school driver comes to work in the morning and they have to clean the bus of the snow that accumulated during the night. And they slip and fall. But the accident is a transportation accident. So eventually we realized that we need data from other sources, that our data is not enough. And then for that, we went and looked for partners. And this is what happens with you if you're doing digital transformation work. You're going to need partners, and you're not going to need data from other sources. And then there are these overarching challenges which we were facing at the time, and those are related to the fact that we were a public entity. Public entities, they avoid risks at all costs in the United States. There is so much politics. Politicians, they will not do something that might jeopardize their future career or put them in the front of the newspaper. For example, data breaches, everybody is afraid of it. So nobody wants to deal with it. And for politicians, there is no real direct cost for not doing something. If they don't do it, they avoid the risk. It becomes someone else's problem 4 years down the road. And let them handle it. So, this is where we went. We said, we're going to handle the politics, we're going to deal with the politicians, we're going to convince them to help us do what we want to do, and we are going to cultivate the leadership support. And the leadership support for digital transformation projects is not your CEO only. Sometimes it will require your board, and sometimes it will require also, you need to go and sell what you're trying to do to your chief financial officer and your chief legal officer and others, and of course, your chief of IT. And then we said we're going to do small things that will show the value of what we're doing. Because once people see that value, they will give you more. They will unleash you, essentially. And you need to always focus on reducing cost and improving the return on the investment to all these different parties, because that's how they will help you out in doing more things in the future. So, as we do this, we had to work on switching resources. I had to sacrifice certain positions where I won't hire people in order to invest that money in technology solutions. That put the people who work for me into so much stress because they had to work more until we finish our digital transformation projects. That will help them essentially do less work. So, with that, our focus with digital transformation was on big data and data analytics, and we ended up building the largest loss prevention database in the US with over, now it has accumulated over 2 million claims in it. Also, we used the digital transformation projects to streamline our operations. Our coverage, how our consultants were working with businesses, how much time they spend on the road traveling from one business to another to do inspections and safety inspections. We shrank that because we started to look at how much they spend on the road versus how much time they spend with the clients. We started using tablets and built a system for them where the data and observations that they make in the workplace is coded and it can be mined later on. And we can match it with the claims information. All of this allowed us to do better programming, better interventions. When we started doing better interventions, our customers loved us. They started participating and buying risk management programs and products, and they started, in fact, working with us more because they were seeing value in what we were doing in terms of prevention and reducing costs and essentially reducing premiums. The number of workplace injuries went down at a rate that is about 1.5 times the rate that was observed in the rest of the US. And in fact, the cost of workers' compensation insurance in Ohio went to where it was in 1978. And we became among the lowest 10 states in terms of the cost of workers' compensation. But that took us over 8 years to do. It's an evolution, essentially, and you have to be patient. And patience is the name of the game, in fact. So, when you're thinking about digital transformation, it's always about challenging the status quo. And here's the issue. You need to talk to your people, especially your business people. You have to find their pain point. What is creating bottlenecks in the work that they do? And what are the roots for these bottlenecks? And you need to talk to everybody, people in underwriting and people in claims and people who are working directly with customers, agents, marketing, and you will accumulate a huge list of things. And believe me, in many occasions, you will find out that many of them are interconnected. And then when you start bringing the business people together with the IT people, and sometimes with using the help of an outside partner, you will end up essentially finding solutions that nobody thought about. And it is by using technology as your resource, in fact, to help you solve these issues. Never mind what the name of it is, whether people will call it machine learning or blockchain or whatever. Many of these solutions, in fact, can be very simple. I've seen over the years that many of the companies, they approach this by putting together a work group from business and IT and build a structure for that work group to look at different things and different aspects of your business in different areas. Some of them, in fact, the people who started with work groups, they advanced to what they call innovation labs, because they started seeing some really positive change, and then they started to invest more and they try things out. Always have business represented with IT. And in many cases, when you bring people this way and you start talking to them about certain projects that can be done, they will bring you so many ideas. And many of them are great ideas and they will work. So now you have to think about how you need to prioritize them. But also, you need to think about how to prioritize them and then not to push and demotivate the people who brought them. Because everybody thinks of their project and their solution as the best solution, and that their problem is the most important problem in the world and it needs to be solved first. So usually companies go around and build a governance structure for digital transformation. And essentially everybody tries to sell their idea. You train them in how to present it to a group who then essentially do an evaluation and decide which projects to fund, because the IT resources will always be limited. You cannot do everything at the same time. Always seek out partners and advisors, and always keep learning. You need to develop expertise from within also. It's not, hire people with STEM background, bring them in, train them, and you can't believe how great ideas they will bring with them and how many things they will do for you in the future. It's a good investment, always. And always think about, when you're doing these projects, that there is a need to focus on a stakeholders communication plan. So if you're doing something that will affect your customers, you need to tell them beforehand what is it that you're working on and why you're working on it and how it's going to help them. Because they do not want to be surprised once you put this out. Always have a change management plan for your employees, because digital transformation will affect how they will do things, and they will need to be trained, and they will need to accept this change. Because if they don't accept it, God help you, things will not work. And always train your employees on what you're trying to put out. Now, the evolving future, generally as it relates to digital transformation and in the insurance industry, will be focused in the next few years, probably the next 5 to 10 years, on big data and advanced analytics, where we are going to use big data to analyze the individual risk, whether it's a business or a person. And that will help us in providing a better pricing structure. So I am a safe driver. Why do I have to pay the same amount that another reckless driver is paying? I will demand that the insurance company provide me with a better rate. Artificial intelligence, now it is, when it comes to underwriting and issuing policies, it's becoming the name of the game. Of course, the legacy systems will always need to be updated and worked on. Cybersecurity, you deal with big data, you're a target. You want to get data from others, you are a target. And then there is this big insurance line of business now for cybersecurity. And then, of course, there is the ethics part. In a way, I don't want anybody to know about my health-related healthcare data. I don't want my company to share it with anybody else. And whoever has it, they will need to take good care of it, so there will be no breach and it will go to someone else. I will stop there, and thank you for listening.
ثانك يو دكتور ابراهيم طراونة ومستر بيير سلامة. انا اي ثوت انه حيكون في اسئله. حدا حابب يسال دكتور ابراهيم؟ ممكن دكتور؟ يلا.
المايك موجود.
اوكي. سوري. اوكي.
موجود معي. Good morning everybody. صباح الخير دكتور. My name is Samer Hijazin from Middle East Insurance Company. أهلا بك. In fact, we are hearing about digital transforming in business in all sectors since the last 10 years. And I think that all companies and all sectors own the infrastructure for this this new type of business. But also I would like to add that we are still at late stage. If we can customize your lecture about our sector, what do you think the main issues that, let's say, make challenges for the insurance sector? Are we talking about laws? Are we talking about mentality of the consumer and employees? Are we talking about the cyber security? So what is the main issue which still faces all the sectors, and especially the insurance sector, to let's say go ahead and step forward for a new type of business? Thank you.
The biggest hurdle, and hurdles are different from one country to the next, and it's regional as well. You cannot compare the Middle East and certain countries in the Middle East with the United States, for example. We need breakthrough. We need pioneers. And what we're seeing, essentially what will make the biggest change is that somebody will pioneer this process where they will lead and the rest will follow. Unfortunately, in many of the developing countries and developing world, we're not seeing that yet. So in my view, it's not the laws. It is this breakthrough. When you think about it, for example, car insurance coverage in the United States, Progressive Insurance, they were pioneers. Progressive will give you this device that you will put in your car and drive for 3 days, and it will send them the data, and then they will tell you, based on your driving behavior, we're going to give you this rate. Now, the same device, bring it to Jordan, give it to a driver in Jordan. And if that driver is going to drive the way they're supposed to make Progressive Insurance give them a lower price, they will get in an accident. Because the driving behavior for the whole population in Jordan is different. So now, you can replete the idea in Jordan, but you will need different data set for doing it the right way, the way Progressive is doing it. And the same applies with other interventions. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Said Khawalda. I'm from Decisive. We are actually an AI company working with MENA healthcare organizations, including insurance companies, on how they can exploit the data which they have to do predictions which can improve their processes. And thanks a lot, مهندس على المحاضرة. I just actually I want to just talk about the aspect which you have talked about regarding global solutions. As you know, global technologies are available, but when you bring it to the local market, unfortunately they fail because there is a different data quality which is available here. There are different regulations. There is different infrastructure which is available here, as well as the talent which is available in the local market is a little bit different than what is available abroad. I just actually want to have your insight on what is the best practices from your experience on how we can exploit the technology for the benefit of the local providers as insurance companies here in the MENA region, so they can address their local challenges, which are actually not available elsewhere where the technology is imported from. So that's really the thing which I would love really your feedback on.
Well, the important thing in a way, there's something that I forgot to mention and I wanted to talk about here. which is when you do these work groups for your company and to start looking at digital transformation type of projects, the best approach is what's called the agile project management type of approach for these projects, where you bring in the business people and the IT people together, and they're working in the same space, in fact, together to solve a specific problem and build a product that matches that problem. And they will collect the data, whether it is within that you have it or you try to acquire it from a different source. And that way you start building solutions that matches what you need. Now, I will tell you, you can, for example, the healthcare system in the US, the data that you get and the products that are built for the healthcare system in the US, you cannot use it in a country like Jordan, for sure. So now, dealing with that is a fun thing. You can always have a small data set that you can build on, you can extrapolate. Machine learning helps a lot. But this requires essentially deep thinking. Not too many people can do it, and that's why you need to seek partners and experts.
That's it? Yeah. المايك ديما المايك هون بليز، أو هاي في مايك ثاني.
نعيم مصلح Arab Loss Adjuster. يعني first of all, Dr. Ibraheem, thank you very much for, the conference as presence, excellent. But I am asking my colleague, we need the depth of the contents of this one. You have done this one successfully, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
And this is the trend of the future industry. Wearable. Here, USA, Canada, GCC countries, which is a little bit more advanced than our area because of the infrastructure. Okay. So I suggest next, conference, to have workshops on how we can do the transformation process for digitization. And this is the trend for the future of the industry. You have mentioned that Amazon, they are gonna sell this product. Actually, other companies, they are already selling this product, online. And you have Lemonade company, it's American company.
Yes.
It's existing already.
Yes.
And they are practicing this one.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
think is this session is added value to the conference, actually technically, which is excellent. Now, since I'm working now in loss adjusting business, so how you can see the impact on loss adjusting business due to the implications of digitization? Thank you very much.
That's something that I didn't really think about, that to give you a straight answer, in fact. So I'm sorry, I'm going to stop on that and probably discuss it more with you later, after the session, if you would like to. But I really cannot think of something that I can point to precisely.
I have, by the way, a lot of studies about digitization. This was my thesis.
Thank you.
طيب شكرا لكم. يعني احنا لازم ننتقل للسيشن الثانيه، فاكيد دكتور ابراهيم رح يكون موجود طول الوقت. اذا حدا حابب يسال دكتور ابراهيم بينه وبين دكتور ابراهيم موجود. دكتور انا عم بحكي عنك، هذا الحكي صح ولا لا؟ عم بحكي يعني بلسانك، اذا اوكي؟ ثانك يو سو ماتش دكتور ابراهيم طراوني ومستر بيير سلامه. بننتقل للسيشن الثانيه لليوم مع مستر فيليب ومستر جينز، اللي مستر فيليب السبيكر والهيد اوف سيشن مستر جينز رح يقدم الانترودكشن عن مستر فيليب.
Good morning, everyone. It gives me, my name is Jens. I'm Executive Director at Link Reinsurance Brokerage. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. I'm happy to be the head of the session. Our next speaker is Mr. Philip Hanna from Zain. Mr. Philip Hanna has extensive FMCG and telecommunications experience, having joined Zain Group in January 2008 as a Procurement and Logistics Director. In November 2011, he was appointed Chief Commercial Officer of Zain Iraq, and in March 2015, he was promoted to Deputy CEO of Zain Iraq. Prior telecom experience includes being Chief Operating Officer at Millicom International Cellular. In February 2016, Mr. Philip Hanna was appointed the GM of Mada Jordan, a fully owned subsidiary of Zain Group in Jordan. Mada, I hope I pronounce it correctly, I'm not an Arabic speaker, is a leading provider of integrated telecom solutions for the business sector and individuals in the kingdom. Earlier in his career, Philip has held various positions in the commercial department at Philip Morris International and was a senior account executive with Impact BBDO advertising agency in Dubai. Philip studied at the Lebanese American University Beirut, graduated with BSc Economics with distinction, and in May 2020 attained an executive MBA from American University of Beirut. Please welcome Mr. Philippe. Good luck for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, a non-insurance expert, talking about insurance to insurance experts. And anyway, I'm going to do my best, and I hope this session will be entertaining and most importantly, informative. What I will talk about is innovation in insurance and how can that improve the industry. At the beginning of the decade, experts were saying that software is going to eat the world. Basically, software was being put in every item. It was being put in cars, it was being put in house appliances, everything had software. By the end of the decade, things have changed, and Dr. Tarawneh spoke about that. It's now about AI, artificial intelligence. Software that is able to rewrite itself to optimize the business. Before I dive into insurance, let me give you a bit of examples from other industries, how did digitalization basically changed, improved, and increased their industry. I want to start with one that most of you know, Uber. 70 countries, more than 10,000 cities, 14 million trips being done on a daily basis. You have 110 million users, 4 million taxi drivers. It's the market leader. But what is special about it? The market leaders owns no taxis. It's a taxi industry that has changed totally. It became the market leader and it doesn't own a taxi. This is what technology has allowed. Let's take another industry. Media, the media industry, Facebook. Everybody knows Facebook. More than 1/3 of the worldwide population is on Facebook. Almost 3 billion people. 2 billion of them look at Facebook on a daily basis. What do they look for? They look for photos of their friends, they look of news, they look for music, they listen to music. It's a media center. But the biggest media center in the world does not produce any media. Facebook does not write news. It does not do video, it doesn't do music. Everything is shared. So it became the leader. Technology has allowed it to become the media leaders worldwide, but without the total the business model has changed totally. Two more examples to go. Airbnb. Accommodation. You're traveling with your family, you want a hotel, you go to Airbnb. 500 million guests per year. This is how big it is. 150 million users worldwide. This is their customers. They have 150 million users. They are almost everywhere. 180 countries around the world. 180 countries. And on top of that, you have almost 6 million properties listed to choose from. This is what Airbnb provides. It's the new biggest hotel of the world. But this hotel company doesn't own any property. This is the power of technology. This is the power of digitalization. This is what it can do to other industries. And the last one I will talk about is retail. Everybody knows Amazon. Dr. Tarawneh spoke about that. I'm going to talk about Alibaba. 1.3 billion users and customers. 300 million of them are outside China. They cover even bigger than Airbnb, 190 countries. So it is the second largest retailer in the world, and this second largest retailer does not have any inventory. This is what technology does for you. Dr. Tarawneh spoke about how to digitalize, how your industry could work on introducing digitalization and novelty to improve. These are examples of companies who have started fully digital and now have become the world leaders. If you want to look at insurance, and insurance has not been left behind. And I will share with you in this presentation many examples from around the world that shows you how companies, InsurTech, insurance company that are technology-based, have come around and they came with innovations and what they offer. But how did that happen? There has had to have a lot of investment done in insurance. And we've seen in the past decade how much the investment has increased to reach last year almost $16 billion. Last year was bigger than 2019 and 2020 combined in investment. Many companies are serious about launching insurance companies. Dr. Tarawneh was talking about Google or Amazon and saying this is not their core business, but with big data, they're even looking at it. And here you can see how much investment funds have invested in insurance. $15.8 billion last year. And it's not only about investment and money, it's about investment funds and angel investors. Also, they've been looking at it. They've been looking at the opportunity to simplify the relationship between the company and the customers. And we see a progression in the past 10 years to reach almost more than 1,100 investors in 2021. So it's a dynamic industry and it's moving. And I'll give you examples moving forward. But most of these companies that have come in the market, they've come with two objectives in mind. And we've listed the main two objectives. The first one have been to increase revenue. And the second objective has been to reduce cost. But very logical, you would tell me. But then we will go into details and see how complicated it is. The first one is, how are they going to drive growth? First of all, they tried to make it very simple between customers and insurance company, the relationship, both on the customer acquisition front and on the claim front. They simplified the processes, made it one click away. The second one is, by making it so simple and by creating new market and entering and proposing new markets, many customers now are buying insurance, so they increased the customer base. And once you are with these digital insurances, and for example, you buy motor insurance, suddenly you start receiving messages to buy house insurance. They cross-sell. This is what they've tried to do. On the cost reduction, what they've tried to do is to go direct to the customer, saving on the brokerage fees. They said, if we go directly and speak to our customers, we will not have to pay fees. The other thing is, on the admin processes, the claims, I'll give examples where some companies are able to pay claims, 25% of their claims are paid within 3 seconds of submission. And that is a reality. And I'll give you an example for that. And last but not least, by designing products that are based on big data and that take into account exactly the state of the customer, and they know much about the customer, they are able to evaluate the risk and reduce their loss ratio. Dr. Tarawneh said, why would I, as a good driver, as a safe driver, pay the same price as a reckless driver? And this is what these companies have tried to do. This presentation will take you into 3 major areas. The first one is I will talk about the innovation and give you examples of innovations. What are the different innovations that these companies have looked into? The second one, I'll look briefly at the Middle East. I will give you some numbers, but you guys know your numbers better than I do. But just to give you an idea of where we are and give some examples in the Middle East, because this region has not been left totally on its own when it comes to innovation. Last but not least, I'll conclude with a few remarks of my own. When we look into insurance and InsurTech, insurance technology digitalization, we can classify them, to simplify, into 5 different categories. And I will talk about each category. I will give examples of each category. So you will know what are the innovation that is being done worldwide. It gives you ideas. Many of you, I'm sure, know about that, but we've tried to put it all together to give you an overall view. The first one has been to improve the digital processes. Today, you want to contract, you're going to have insurance, you go on the website of certain companies. Certain companies can give you direct quotes online, certain cannot. So you send them a message, or you see your broker, and it comes back, and it takes time. Sometimes it's complicated, sometimes it's easier. It depends on how complex the risk to cover is. What the first section has tried to do, they've tried to simplify the process until a click away. One of you has spoke about Lemonade, and I will give that as an example. Contracting insurance has become very easy across all of these examples that I will give. Just one click away. But it's not only about acquisition, it's also about claim management. And I'll give examples about that. The second category of innovation has been based on product innovation, coming up with products that will tackle customer pain points. I don't need an insurance on a daily basis. I want it once a week, once a month. And I want the flexibility that sometimes does not exist in the market. These InsurTech developed these products, and we will talk about that. The third one is based on a situation, and I'll cover more and explain what do I mean by a situation. Things that were not covered by the traditional insurances. The fourth one is moved you as the insured person from just being insured to giving you additional services. Why would you decide on this company versus another? Because not only it insures me, it's also give me additional value-added services that I, as a consumer, need. And this is what they've done. And last but not least, the new economy, internet, has created new hazards and new risks. And some InsurTech have come to address specifically these new risks. Let's start with the first group, Lemonade. I was very happy when I heard this name. Lemonade is a company, an InsurTech, that is based in the US and operate in certain countries in Europe, like Germany. What do they offer? What is their unique selling proposition? Actually, they have two main points that differentiates them from the others. First, the whole process of onboarding is digital. You go online or you go into their app, you decide which type of insurance you need, you put the information you want, you click, and then you get back the quote. You click, you're charged, and you're insured. But that's not only it. That's the first part of it. The second part is also very interesting. When it comes to claims, when something happens, again, you go back to your app. You look at the information, you put the information they want, and if this information makes a profile of the claim as low risk, it is paid on the spot directly. It's not about let's review it and there is time and then they come back to you. And actually, what they talk about and they say, they pride themselves on paying 25% of their claims within 3 seconds. This is the first example. The second example is Luco in France. Again, a very digital company. You acquire all their policies online. And their unique selling proposition is that they are 2 minutes away from you. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Anytime you want them, they will reply to you within 2 minutes. And they've been very successful, quite appealing. And they pride also themselves on paying your claims 2 times faster than others. That's Luco. These are 2 examples that I wanted to give of digital insurance and processes and the innovation that has come there. Let's move to the second one, which is the innovative product. Dr. Tarawneh spoke about why would I pay as much as a non-safe driver? Carrot in the UK. That's another good example of using technology here to be able to determine if you're a hazardous driver or if you are a safe driver. The way it works is same process. You contract your deal online, on the app, you buy the insurance, and then you have 2 ways of going about it. Or you ask for a device, an IoT device that you put in your car, and this IoT device measures the way you brake, you accelerate, you take curves, and then decides and puts you in a category, you're a safe driver, you're a non-safe driver. Or if you don't want this device, you can just activate a feature on your app, and your app on your phone will actually do that for you. And by the end of every month, you are determined to be a safe or not safe driver, and you receive gifts like Amazon vouchers and so on and so forth. That's the way their unique selling proposition is. Fully digital, and if you are safe, we will give you back some of the money that as a reward. The other example is Metromile. And Metromile now has been purchased, but I think it's still a very good example of how you use technology to optimize your product. Here it's for those of us who don't drive a lot, who are traveling a lot. Instead of contracting an insurance policy that will actually be paid on a yearly basis. I want to only be insured when I drive. The way it works is you go online or on your app, you contract the app, you contract the contract, you pay, that's it, you're now insured. And you are charged on a monthly basis a fee, a fixed fee, with a variable depending on the number of kilometers that you drive. How would they know that? They send you a device that you put in your car, and that will measure on a monthly basis what you drove and sends you a bill at the end of the month. It's also taken directly from your bank account or from your credit card or from your wallet. These are two examples of product innovations that could allow the customer to pay for what he wants and allow the insurance company to determine the risk of that person based on his behavior and on he really is. That's very important. The third one is based on data and based on situation. Travel risk, travel insurance. I travel a lot. I don't want to take a full year travel insurance. It's going to cost me money. Here, in Latvia, in Europe, CSAM, together with Telia, a telephone operator, a mobile operator, they came together and they're offering a product. Very creative. You contract your travel insurance policy online or on your app. Once you're onboarded, you don't pay. You pay nothing, but you're covered. And what happens? The minute you travel, you land on a new country, what happens to your mobile phone? It roams. The minute you roam, the policy is activated. 3, 4, 5 days, you're back in your market, you're back on your home network, the policy is stopped. At the end of the month, you get a bill. 3 days, $10, $5, whatever it is, you are covered. And then you keep on going and coming back and traveling and back and forth, and this is activated, and you don't have to worry about it. And at any point in time, you can stop it, you can hold it, you don't want it, that's fine. It is available, you have this option. Very flexible, transparent travel policy. Creative, based on data, and you have to do nothing, just activate it. A very good example also from the US, which is a pure situational, is Buddy. For those of us who likes hazardous sports, skiing, parachuting, I don't know, many sports that are not covered by many insurances. This InsurTech is specialized on providing you coverage for this type of activity. They've determined a customer need, and they developed a product specifically for that. For as low as $9 a day, you're now on your hazardous activity covered. There are two ways of contracting this insurance. You can do it online or on your app, or many tour operators include that directly in the package that they sell you. That's the advantage, it's onboarded. The fourth category, which is from being simply insured to having additional perks why the customer should come with you. Instead of only comparing yourselves based on price and services and reputation, which counts a lot, but now there is a differentiator, and customer will think about it before making his choice. Let's talk about Oscar in the USA. Oscar is a health insurance. Oscar, when you want to buy a health insurance, you look into the app, you put all of the information, you do the test they want to do, they ask you, and then you receive your policy, you pay for it, and that's it. That's the first part of it. Very easy, and also the claims, you do it online, very easy. Simplifies the process by far compared to the existing. But then they give you additional services. What are the additional services they provide? Is today, if you want to contact a doctor and you actually don't want to go, they give you free telemedicine for GPs, general practitioners, for your family doctor. You don't feel well, you want an advice of a doctor, you go onto their app, you press a doctor, he will appear on a video call, and then you will ask him the question you want to ask. It's free. But that's not only it. If you need a specialist and you don't know how to be referred to a specialist, they also provide you contacts with specialists. And they have one more feature that is actually very interesting. If you decide, and this is your decision that you take, if you decide to share your health app, how many steps you do per day, what sports you do per day, and they can measure it, and if you fall into the category of low risk, they will reduce the fee on a monthly basis. So not only are you insured, but now you are cared for. That's ideas of how to differentiate yourselves as insurance company. Another good one is Clover Health in the USA also. It's a health insurance, same system. You go onto the app, put the information, you put the claims, should you have claims, everything is done online. But what they do, their unique selling propositions, is they get you in contact and take care of your appointments with doctors and with tests, and all the tests and the labs that you do. So they plan it for you, you go, you do your tests, and then all of the results of these tests and all of the doctor's visit that you do, they're put back into their files. So the next time you go to your next doctor, and he comes and asks, he wants to know your medical history, to be able to provide you with better service, it is your call to show him or not the information. You have it on your phone. You come and tell him, look, this is my latest blood test. This is what I've done. I felt bad. I want to see this doctor, and this is what he said. So your whole history is on your phone. And you decide to share it next time you see a doctor if you want to have a better advice. It's your call. You have your files with you. This is what they provide on top of being insured. The last but not least section is the one that comes with the new economy. Internet is everywhere. Software is everywhere, and artificial intelligence. All of the things that make your life better. Unfortunately, nothing in life is only positive. Things are positive. With anything positive comes the risk. And what is the risk? Everybody's heard about that, is hacking. Many people have had their identity stolen online. Many people have had their credit details stolen online. And this comes not only with companies, but also comes with individuals. We don't think too much about it, but this happens. It happened to me. Here, a mobile operator has decided to offer embedded insurance, hacking insurance, for their customers. Cheap, paid on a monthly basis. You can stop it any time. You can reactivate it any time. And you are covered should your credit card details or bank details be stolen, or your identity. You're covered up to a certain extent. And again, everything is done online. It's very simple. You don't think about it. Last but not least of the examples is Geo in Canada. It's an insurance technology company, an InsurTech, that actually has been created to deal with the gig economy. What is the gig economy? It's these gig words that geeks like to say about tech. People who work for Uber, for example, drivers, they don't have a conventional job. And many insurance companies refuse to insure them. This has been developed specifically for them. If you have a non-conventional job and you want to be covered, you can go to Geo. Another example, if you have an apartment, you're renting it on Airbnb. Some insurances refuse to insure an apartment where every day they have somebody in and out. They come and they tell you this is a totally different risk. Well, these people, they've developed a special insurance for that. To be able, they've identified a new opportunity, and they went and they launched a totally different technology insurance company. I hope I have covered many. I'm sure that there are much more example in other categories that we didn't. But for the sake of time and just to give you a feel of what InsurTech has done around the world, like it has done in other industries, as I showed at the beginning, they're starting, all of these investments have delivered insurance companies that are fully digital. Let's look at the Middle East. And let's look at some numbers. And again, you guys know your numbers better, but I'll just give a bit of a feel. If we look at premiums in the Middle East countries on your right, and in other developed markets in Europe and the US on your left. If you take the average of how much premiums are paid in the Middle East, the average is $300. If you compare it to other places in the world, it's $3,000. If we look at insurance penetration, and it's the line, the average penetration in the Middle East is 1%. The average penetration in the rest of developed markets, like Europe and the US, is 6%, 6 times higher. There are many reasons, and I will cover some of them. I will try to cover some of them. Let's look at the reasons, or some of the reasons. And you guys also know many others. First one is there's not much innovation. Today, companies mainly compete on price and reputation and customer service. This is what they compete on. And you have those who have it, those who don't, and those who have it, they compete as much as they can on price. There's very low innovation. There could be more innovation. You guys today, where we're talking with Dr. Tarawneh, have said that. We should be innovating. We should look at the processes. Digitalization, technology. Dr. Tarawneh spoke about a roadmap of how to digitalize some of the existing traditional companies. He has given ideas. Yes, it is an area that could be improved and that will help a lot. Profitability is the third one. When you mostly compete on profitability and on price, your profitability takes a hit. There is less differentiator to choose you versus me if we mostly offer the same thing. Yesterday, we spoke about regulators. In order for all of these ideas to come, regulators have to step up and have to work with you and have to be able to regulate these new companies and, most importantly, regulate new products. And last and not least, and this is a problem across industries, not only in the insurance industry in this part of the world, is the lack of digital talents. It's very difficult to find people who write code in this country and in the Middle East, and this is across industries, and when you do, it's difficult to keep them because they're in very high demand. There is a digitalization transformation happening in most industries, and you don't have enough people to deliver that. These are some of the reasons why the situation today could be improved. But it's not all negative, because you do have companies who have come in and who have tried to innovate. One of them is in the UAE, is Bima. It was done in cooperation with AXA Insurance. What do they give? Bima, their major USP, unique selling proposition, is the less you drive, the less you pay. How does it work? You go onto their app, you say model of the car and everything that you want, you click, you get billed, you're insured. You take a photo of your dashboard, they know the starting kilometers. By the end of the policy life, by the end of the year, you send another photo, they see how much you've driven. And if actually you have driven less than 4,000 kilometers, they give you 25% back, cash back. And now they're looking into imitating some of the product in the US. like determining, putting IoT device and determining if you're a safe driver. So they want to combine not only if you're safe or not, if you drive low mileage or not, they also now want to see if you are a safe driver, and they will give you another cashback. So these are examples of innovations. This is an example of innovation that has happened in our part of the world, and it's a commendable innovation. A second one, which is very financially successful, is an aggregator in Saudi Arabia. Tarawneh and BeCare. Motor insurance aggregators. If you want to buy insurance and you don't know what you want to buy for your car, you go on their app or on the website, you put all the information, and you will get several quotes from different companies. And these companies will sell you the information, will send you the information online, and then you will go ahead, you'll decide on the policy, you click, and you get, and now you are insured. Within 2 years, Tarawneh and BeCare together have been able to take 20% of the Saudi market, motor market. So this is a very good example of a digital approach that has worked from a business perspective. Allow me, as an external party, to make some conclusions of what I've just presented today. The first one I want to say is that InsurTech penetration in the Middle East should not be seen as a competitor to existing companies, but as a partner to digitalize existing insurance companies and making much more nimble and much more creative. And we've seen that with Bima, for example. As more companies come in, if they work with existing companies, with existing insurance companies, it will help them digitalize. They will bring their technology expertise. The existing companies will bring their insurance expertise, and it will be a win-win situation. The second conclusion I would like to talk about is, being in a telecom operator, I can tell you, this region loves technology. We have 5G. Smart mobile phones go as high as 60% penetration in certain markets to 140%, meaning there are in certain markets, like the UAE, there are no mobile phones, there's only smartphones. So the technology base is there. And then you tell me, okay, what good is a smartphone if you don't have internet? The lowest mobile broadband coverage in the Middle East is 90% of the population, and the highest is almost 99%. So you have internet everywhere. The ground is there for innovation. It's not too early. And the impact on the market could be big for first movers. We've seen what happened in Saudi. They came with a very good product, and it worked. And they are 20% of the market in less than 2 years. So people want to use technology, people love technology, people are moving slowly but surely all their lives on their technology, and InsurTech and insurance could also have a great potential there, not only to simplify their existing products, but to increase their markets. And last but not least, of course, nothing can happen without the regulatory. Regulatory have to be a key role in regulating the market to allow for these new ways of doing business to happen. Of course, this is the ABC. We identify at Zain that this is a market that is of interest. And this is why Zain is interested in penetrating the market and entering into the field of InsurTech across the Middle East. And we are looking into partners. We're looking for partners to do that with them. Why? Dr. Tarawneh said, it's all about big data. The more you know your customer, the more you can determine what your customer does and how he is. You can determine how much of a risk he could be or not. So you can price the right way for him and for you. Second, the capacity for us to analyze customers. With the data that we have a lot of experience in doing so. So it makes a lot of sense. Last but not least, digitalization and app development. We've been doing that for quite a long time. And this is why at Zain we're looking into that, and we're looking into entering the Middle East market as an InsurTech with local partners. This comes to the end of the presentation. I hope it was informative and as enjoyable as it was for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philip, for this very informative and comprehensive presentation, giving us an insight about your view on the InsurTech market, local and globally. Are there any questions?
Good morning to all of you. Thank you very much for the most than informative presentation that we had from you. I'm just asking about the, especially, I know that you are from mobile networking operator, am I right? So in a country like Jordan, in a community like this, regarding the insurance, I think you do have 24 companies are operating in there. So does it have to happen to yourself or your company that one of those companies, one of these companies already approached you just to use your facility to be an external distribution channel for her, just to decrease their total expenses when it comes to sales and to capitalize their business when it comes to sales too? This is the first question. And the other one is regarding the development in insurance. Does it have to happen too, that they're using that facilities nowadays in one or more than one from your company as well? Thank you very much.
First of all, thank you very much for the question. To answer on the model of operation moving forward, Zain is not an insurance company and doesn't want to be. This is clear. So it will partner with existing insurance companies to be able to deliver that. Exactly the model, we have several models in mind and will be discussed when we sit down with our potential partners. So the exact model of how will that be done hasn't been finalized yet, but as I said, it will not be Zain opening an insurance company. It doesn't want to do that.
Excuse me, I didn't mean that. But I do have already seen some stories in Philippines, in Manila, in Ghana, as you said, in like Bima. So when they parting with mobile networking operator, the mobile networking operator is not turning to be an insurance company, but they may use them to help them increases their sales, exactly like what happened in the bank assurance. So when we're using the facility of the bank to sell insurance, the bank itself, it didn't be turned into an insurance company with the banking business, but it helps the company to increase their sales. This is what I was asking for.
I understood the question, and this is why I said the final model, this is one model we could go with.
Oh, yeah.
This is what I'm saying. It will depend on the market, on the regulation, and that is one option that we might go with, one model. Correct.
Thank you.
Like they did in other markets. For example, Indonesia is one.
Okay.
Any further questions? I think here on the left side. Or over there.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I know that this digitalization, the aim of it is to ease transactions between insurance companies and their clients, and at the same time increase the number of policies which will be purchased. Regarding motor car, which is the driving force in most of our Arab world insurance companies, regarding third party, there is no problem. But there is a problem in the insurance of own damage policies, where you find that in some cases the purchasing of insurance and contracting insurance, sometimes there is already claims happens to the car before insuring it, and you cannot know whether this car is already damaged or it is intact. So is there any solution for marketing this type of insurance through digital means, and you can know whether this car is intact or not? Is there any way to know that? Thank you.
It would be very arrogant for me to try to answer that question with the information that I have today. I don't think I have the right information to answer that question now. However, the good news is by proposing to do that in the Middle East, we're not the first company who are getting into this. So the best thing that I've learned also from my experience is you search and reapply. You see what's being done in other markets that have already been precursors, like the US, like you have lemonade, and then you see how they treat that and you apply the same. So I don't have the answer to you, but I know the means how to actually address this risk. Thank you.
Let me know.
I hope I answered your question.
Can you let me know if you know something?
I will.
Privately. Thank you.
I think there have been further questions here in this table.
My name is Khalid Abnah. Working. Khalid Abnah from Trust. Very nice presentation, comprehensive to and reflecting to what on what happening in the developed world in terms of adapting to technological environment and innovation of new insurance products. From perspective of the Middle East and the size of the market and the awareness and ability of the individuals to buy insurance through technological means, i.e. proactively seeking the product and going instead of seeing somebody to convince. And until now we have a difficulty to penetrate into the or trying to tap on the potential markets, whether for a target for individuals, even for small, medium-sized businesses. I see the presentation as a marketing presentation very excellently done. But as a technical person, my background, I like to see always marketing presentations matched with a technical presentation. And this is not presented in here, I can understand, but it would have been very nice if done in parallel with a technical presentation. My concern and my question, and even for my colleagues in the industry when considering a new technological or small insurances, I can understand Zain can do because they can have the volume of connecting to many customers. But in different countries, not in one country, then they have also ability to contract with a local insurance company to handle the fronting or the writing of the risk. That's possible, but volume results has to be individual country and globally. So the interest of the local companies and the portfolio, the pricing of the portfolio has to be considered in a local area specifically. So, some products presented that showed that one can buy a short, like 1 week policy and terminates, and then after 2 weeks buys. For me, very difficult to go away from the principles of insurance, and what we learned, the foundation of the insurance business is to stick with the principles, large numbers, assumptions of insurance policy periods, short-term policy periods, has to be like a year. If you take a shorter period policy, you have to charge a short period premium rates. And I see the difficulty when you calculate your loss ratios and then you combine the ratios for short-term policies. This is a concern. Technically, I cannot make up. Of course, if the volume plays and you create feasibility, that's fine. You can say, okay, pricing, the volume will compensate for it, it's not a problem. But I see the small companies cannot go into such products if they don't have the volume and don't control the underwriting, i.e. the underwriting maybe not individual risk but in a global patch. Say I generate $1 million, I know the losses will be like 60 or 50%, administration, etc. You can sacrifice, but then the pricing for the individual insured, if it is high, can say you are as insurer, you waived the underwriting, you waived taking precautions for preventing or controlling fraud, because going through such products, I'm sure that it's going to go through so many fraudulent claims which will constitute part of the cost of insurance. These are concerns, and this is questioning to complete the presentation as a whole, new products for individual insurance companies operating in our small markets with a difficulty to penetrate in the market. That's a very nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are there further questions? Okay, maybe I have a final question. You listed a couple of challenges. What about the cultural / trust confidence challenge, plus the data privacy, which I also consider as a main challenge to convince people buying these innovative digital products? How you would like to overcome these challenges?
This is actually, data privacy is at the core of everything we do as telecom. For us, we've had customer data for a long time, and you know, this is one of the biggest focus that the company has, and everything that you do will take that into account. So yeah, you're right. You have two issues. First of all, we have the data, is how to make sure that the data stays always confidential and is used as big data, not as individual data. That's the first one. And second is the trust of working for an insurance, for an InsurTech, and that will come with the partners that you will get, whereby you will have a big name on your side that will give the comfort that he can handle the risk. That's the way we look at it.
Any other questions? اوكي شكرا كثير. بدي اطلب من سيد اسامه حنوش عضو مجلس إدارة الاتحاد الأردني لشركات التأمين ليتفضل لتكريم المتحدثين. شكرا كثير لكم دكتور إبراهيم, مستر بيير, مستر فيليب and Mr. Jens, right? Yes, دكتور إبراهيم. اوكي بس تطلعوا هون على الكاميرا بليز. Mr. Pierre. هون اوكي مع مستر فيليب. اوكي بس مستر أسامة نكرم مستر بيير please first. Thank you. Thank you. And Mr. Jensen. Thank you. Bye bye. شكرا سيد أسامة. وممكن تتفضلوا هلا على الكوفي بريك. رح نرجع نلتقي على الساعة 12:30 للجلسة الثالثة والرابعة معنا لليوم الثاني والأخير من المؤتمر. تفضلوا.